Morning, dear friends. Welcome to the Dominion of the Monk Life Meditation community that is overseen and run by Dr. Rob. I'm really the king of this community. There are no courses offered here. There's no coaching program here. This is a king, and his lands, known as the Monk Life Meditation community, are open for all, open for many, and the king shares what the king likes. The king does what the king likes to do, and those who go against that will be rejected, and those in general, and those who are supportive of that will be accepted and in fact rewarded in this dominion. Surely that makes sense. I want to start by talking a little bit about our addiction to war, our love for conflict, our passion when it comes to separation. Not just personally as suffering beings that seem to always fixate and grasp onto dualities or good and bad, right and wrong, yours and mine, but also as a society, as a culture, as a community that is very practically bloodthirsty. It's easy to talk a lot about platitudes or what we believe as a society, as a culture, as a community. But I'm from America, for example. I'm an American, which is a very deep thing in the modern world. It's not like being from Nicaragua. America has a major relevance to all peoples in the world, all over this planet. In America, we know where our money goes towards, generally. Our money goes towards war. Tanks, bombs, missiles, political endeavors to take over others' lands and properties so that we may be able to further defend ourselves from brown and black people of all sorts, of all shades. This is for a white man like me, this is the American dream, and for the women and children and people of color of the world, this is our collective American nightmare. So I wonder if we can ask ourselves a little bit, why are we so complicit in war? Why are we so addicted to violence? Why is it so normal for us to grasp onto some kind of thought or idea that puts us in separation to the world? There's a wonderful orator and kind of spiritual speaker named Alan Watts that I'm sure many people know. And Alan Watts would say, try to just listen to what's being said and don't think about it. Or we, of course, can be listening to the lack of what's being said without thinking about it, and that is a great way too. to, for example, listen to the impermanence of thoughts, how a little thought comes up, goes into the shadows of uninvolvement, and then disappears entirely. We don't even know that that thought had ever existed. So anyways, Alan Watts would say, don't listen to what I'm saying, don't think about it, but just let your brain do the processing. Let your awareness do the processing of listening. We can also call this listening deeply. Now, the Republican Party, Donald Trump and his goons, maybe some kind of political speakers on either side of the aisle would like to step up and say, hey, wait a minute, that person's trying to manipulate you. And we used to call that, in the old days, before it became racist, we used to say, that's the pot calling the kettle black. Your awareness or your brain as a machine does not process sights, sounds, smells, experiences, anything through words. The only thing that is processed through words is words themselves, thoughts themselves. And the invitation of the Monk Life Meditation community and the king of that community, Dr. Rob, is to look at yourself. What do you really value? And what I think I would suppose, and I would invite you to take a gander at, is how much you value your sight, your capacity to see. You value it so much, in fact, that you cannot even comprehend intellectually the value of it. So for example, if I point towards your sight right now, you will probably start talking nonsense and leave a stupid comment. Right? Whereas if your sight was taken away from you right now, you would legitimately have a panic attack and start running around the room like a fool, like a punk. So this sight that we treat as a kind of crumpled up, dried out McDonald's Coca-Cola can in the backseat of our car, along with some dried up McDonald's fries, which of course are totally inedible, so might as well be worthless. We treat our sight that way. Our sight is worthless to us as separate individuals. And in the same way, your hearing, your capacity to hear, how valuable is that to you? And in a certain way, from both sides. From the side of the positive and the praise and the like, as well as from the side of the dislike or the putting down, these are both irrelevant to the value of your sight. How do you express value for something? You hold it. You protect it. You taste it. You touch it. You feel it. There is reverence for sight. It's not you saying, my sight's very valuable to me, as a kind of Alzheimer's woman at the end of her life. But rather, to see seeing is to wear the golden chain of sight with pride, with love, with authenticity. Now, when we come down to the world of dumb thinking, which I know that everybody here is very familiar with, we give so much importance to our thoughts, to our opinions, to our concepts, to our beliefs, to our stories, to our interpretations of direct experience. And yet, how problematic are thoughts for you? How often would you appreciate to not have to deal with this non-stop, complicated, compulsive thinking? These thoughts that compound, compile, entangle, and become a kind of emotional nightmare. Do you ever think about your seeing that way? Do you ever think about your hearing that way? You may think about things that are being heard in that way, but you certainly wouldn't think about your hearing in that way. This is the way of meditation as it was taught, or adjacent to that, by the Buddha in the Bahia Sutta. So we have to first be open to Dr. Rob, the king of the lands of monk life meditation, saying, fuck your thoughts. So that you also can say to your own thoughts, or the Dr. Rob thinking in your own mind, fuck those thoughts. Not so that we can go to war with thinking, but so that we can begin to disentangle ourselves from the enchantment that thoughts offer. Not to be enchanted by thoughts allows us to listen deeply. And listening deeply is the beginning of sharing deeply. For example, listening deeply to the heart that's beating in your chest. Thoughts are stupid. If your meditation is based on thoughts, you're a dummy. If your degree of enlightenment has anything to do with your thoughts, you're a dummy. Period. I'm here to help you poison your thoughts. I am here to help you poison your egoic life. I am here to poison you. I am here to end what you know as of yourself. And in the process of that, to live the kingly life. To watch over my flock. And to create a safe environment for all. This is not going to be easy, nor does it need to be. When we are thinking like dummies, we're not busy cleaning, we're not busy being quiet, we're not busy serving. We're not busy listening and opening and unraveling the self-identity that is held together by non-practical, complicated thoughts, or just non-practical thoughts in general. That lead us into more and more thinking, that leads us into emotional entanglement, that leads us to, at the very least, more and more wasted time. Let me give everybody a news flash here. If you want to waste your time, download a great movie. Download a great anime series. Open up TikTok. Start scrolling. It'll figure out what ruffles your jimmies. You want to feel smart? You're in the wrong place. I've been at this for a long time. I've yet to meet a smart person. I'm here to teach you to be brave, to be kind, to be free, to be generous, to stand up and fight, to step forward and fight. That's the American dream. As a winner, and as a loser, it will be your American nightmare. Whether you're alt-right, or alt-left, or just a dummy, I will slap the food out of your hand. That's why it's a lot safer to have a $50 bill on your hand. This is a time of war. This is a time of invasion. And with invasion comes death. And with death comes renewal. The blood of those who go against me and my work feeds the fields of this community and the bounty of the harvest. And as the Buddha talked about in the Bahia Sutta, that is inaccessible unless we can say, fuck you self, fuck you thinking stuff, fuck you words and phrases, then it's not going to be accessible. The Buddha taught to see in such a way, or to allow your concentration, your presence, your energy, your awareness to enter into seeing without thinking about the things that are seen. To see without conceiving about things. To see without thinking. to hear without thinking, to experience your heart beating without thinking. This is also known as the art of cultivating thoughts and reflecting upon the serenity of awareness. This is not a 1-hour paid session. I'm not your therapist. I am Dr. Rob, the king of the Monk Life Meditation Dominion. To breathe without thinking about breathing. And if thoughts come up, you say, fuck you. Now, what does fuck you mean in a dharmic sense? Fuck you means irrelevant. It means uninvolved. Fuck you doesn't mean get your boys together and I'll get my boys together and we'll go to war. Here's my house address. Come and fight me sometime. That's not what it means. It means irrelevant. And as time goes by in our meditation, as we get more experienced and more skillful, that fuck you becomes actually an act of forgiveness. An act of total uninvolvement, total non-belief. Who would you be if you didn't have to believe your thoughts? Well, guess what? You're already that person. Your thoughts are not accurate representations of who you are, let alone thoughts pass away of themselves. If you build your identity based on thoughts, based on apparent thoughts that you agree with and disagree with, etc., inside and outside, then you are fundamentally a lunatic when it comes down to it. You can either accept being a lunatic and start to change, or you can try to fight me on my home turf, and that's never going to work. It's like trying to break rocks with rocks. Everything breaks. So then, what is the alternative? Let's open up the Golden Book. Natural great bliss. The Vajra space that is indestructible is supreme absorption that is present of itself, without the need for cultivating it. It is there at all times like a flowing river. If you stay in evenness within a state that's free of all contrivance, it clearly and naturally manifests. When you settle properly in space like Dharmata, there is no change or movement. There is no wandering and no absence of the same. This ultimate expanse, supreme and infinite, is inseparably present in all things. It is not some sphere that words can indicate. So no words can indicate your true nature. So you might be listening from the wrong perspective and looking in the wrong direction if it's based in words. Your connection to me your connection to these teachings, your connection to this practice, your connection to this spiritual perspective, this way of listening deeply and giving deeply, should not be based in words. That's why consistency is key, because we are in a war against the consistency of non-practical, complicated thinking that compounds itself into emotional dysregulation that leads us running around like a man with no head. Or rather, a being without a heart. This ultimate expanse, supreme and infinite, is inseparably present in all things. This is the body of the Buddha. This is the fundamental Dharmakaya. This is Chan. This is Zen. This is as much Zen, as much Chan, this is as much Satori or Kensho as a meditation retreat fart. When you settle properly in space like Dharmata or natural awareness, there is no change or movement. Therefore, there is no wandering and no absence of the same. There's no body to wonder, and there's nothing to wander about. This ultimate expanse, supreme and infinite, is inseparably present in all things. It is not some sphere that words can indicate. Those whose wisdom has burst forth, those for whom awareness comes unprompted, those whose minds are unencumbered, even though they have engaged in study, yogis who experience the ineffable and inconceivable, are completely certain that this state transcends both indication and non-indication. They find neither meditation nor anything on which to meditate, and thus they need not slay the foes of lethargy and agitation. So being zonked out and lazy and tired, or being agitated and frustrated and worked up. Because it is realized, because it is identified, as awareness, not as something. That there's really nothing to say or think about or do about it, actually. And the you is the story of doing about it that's making a confusion or an obscuration on the eye of emptiness. This ultimate expanse, supreme and ineffable, is inseparably present in all things. It is not some sphere that words can indicate. That is to say that it has nothing to do with any whatsoever conceptual framework or understanding. Those whose wisdom has burst forth, those for whom awareness comes unprompted, those whose minds are unencumbered, even though they have engaged in study, yogis who experience the ineffable and inconceivable are completely certain that this state transcends both indication and non-indication. They find neither meditation nor anything on which to meditate, and thus they need not slay the foes of lethargy and agitation. So we are not like that. We must slay the foes of lethargy and agitation. We must be at war, in a certain sense. It would be nice to be like that. We would like to be like that, right? But that's not really realistic for us, is it? We are not like that. These yogis here who experience the ineffable and inconceivable, we don't experience that. We experience our anger, our greed, our complicated thoughts, our confusion, our desire, our fear. So those whose wisdom has burst forth, those for whom awareness comes unprompted, those whose minds are unencumbered. Is your mind unencumbered? Do you not deal with afflictions? Do you not deal with difficulties in your life? So those yogis, this is an important teaching to understand that these yogis, these mahasiddhis, these great gurus, these great masters exist. And they can be a wonderful resource and blessing for us on the path. Because we don't have this kind of wisdom, we can have great faith in the potentiality of us realizing that wisdom. All the while being open to the teaching that there is nobody to realize it, and there's nothing to realize. We shouldn't be dualistic about this. Everybody's invited. Everything is possible. Everything is allowed in a certain way. So these yogis, even though they have engaged in study, these yogis who experience the ineffable and inconceivable are completely certain that this state transcends both indication and non-indication. So that this state doesn't really have to do with Buddhism or enlightenment or spirituality. It doesn't really have anything to do with anything, this state. or this truth, or this absolute that is not a thing. They find neither meditation nor anything on which to meditate, and thus they need not slay the foes of lethargy and agitation, unlike us, where we are very often lethargic, we are very often agitated. I know I am. So we will have to dare to slay our difficulties. Please excuse me while I go into meditation. Appearances and mind are free and open from the outset. Non-existence is their essence. Do Zen Buddhists only practice open-eye meditation like in Zazen? If not, in what circumstances do they practice closed eye? Well, unless they are Bodhidharma who cut off his eyelids, then they certainly practice closed eye meditation when they go to sleep. The important point, most important point, is don't be a sectarian. Just because somebody uses their toilet in a particular way, it doesn't mean that you need to use that toilet in a particular way, or you need to create a religion out of it. So people have their forms, they have their usual way of doing things, and that's fine, but you don't need to make a religion out of it, and Zen is not about making a religion out of anything. Zazen means practicing meditation as best as you can. So sometimes you practice meditation as best as you can with your eyes open, such as when you're driving a car. Sometimes you practice meditation as best as you can when you're sitting in the meditation hall at the Zen center, and you can keep your eyes open. That's also fine. Hallucinatory experiences, hallucinatory appearances have as their natural state the vast expanse of evenness, the dharmata. So yeah, maybe we can notice that how even in our agitation, even in our complicated thinking, even in the story we tell about what's being experienced, there does seem to be this state of evenness. Meaning like there's some sense of choice within you to be involved with that anger or not. There's some sense of choice within you to be involved with that complicated story or not. And I would even say that sense of choice is the evenness. Like an evenness as a ground of being on which to go this way or go that way. But without that ground of being, without that isness or that suchness of this, as it is, there's no choice, there's just compulsion. There's no I, there is no you to love anything. That's just an illusion. That's just a schizoid tumor expressing itself in the assembly. If you use the word I, then you are schizophrenic. you know yourself less than anybody else. Because yourself only means something in relationship to other people. And other people who know you have their own version of you inside of themselves. So that version of you inside of themselves is more real than you are, because you, for you, is just like raw awareness or raw experience. And we have an evil in us. Real, deep, dark evil. What is the feminine evil? I don't know about that because I'm not a woman. But the masculine evil is well known about. Sexual violence, war crimes, enslavement of others, fixation on domination, fixation on control. In the monkey kingdom, in the monkey group, there will be one alpha male, one alpha monkey. And there's no consent. There's no such thing as consent in the animal kingdom. There's just strength. So there will be one monkey that is the strongest monkey, and he will have sex, or that monkey will have sex with all the other monkeys whenever that monkey wants to. And that monkey will control all of the resources as well. So that monkey will have control of the other monkeys, what they do, and then also the properties or the resources. So there's a part of us that's addicted to that, addicted to being in control. And it's a very animalistic and what we can call egoic side of ourselves, of being in control. It's why it's so different to collaborate and communicate deeply. Because even if we're a quote-unquote spiritual teacher, we're very likely very addicted and attached on a primal level to being in control. That's one of the reasons that I like Sayadaw U Thammatara, is because he has this limited perspective of, work with anyone. We can all work with anyone. Now, he's very powerful. So if anyone works together with him, they're going to be impacted by that power. And so our willingness to work together is to take responsibility for impacting others and also being impacted. And that willingness and that openness to be impacted. It's not really about consent. It's more about power and affinity. Because, it's like, did you give consent for the weather to be cold today? Did you give consent for that person to punch you in your face? And I think maybe in some ways women know a lot about this, that consent is less powerful than many people would lead you to believe. Do children consent to going to school? No, we don't care. And in the past, we didn't care if women consented to physical relations. You can say it that way and it's 100% true, but you can also say it in terms of if you're married. And it's still true all over the world. If a man has a wife, there's no such thing as consent. And this is still very true in many parts of the world as well. So this is not about whether you consent to it or not. This is not about whether you agree to it or not. This is happening. And it's your anger, your greed, your delusion, your karma, your stupidity, if you want to call it that, that leads you to this position of fighting what you are having to embrace. And what is the resonance or the relevance of this in the modern world? Because I can oftentimes be very disconnected from the modern world. Is independence, individuation, freedom from appearances. To be constantly growing and developing and changing and helping others do the same. Through doing good deeds with mindfulness and detachment. And also it's a lot of fun to go out there and flex your muscles. I mean, that is very enjoyable, to kick people's asses and see their faces turn from a ignorant, self-conceited, dumb, self-important look to, see my footprint on their face and them waddling away because my other foot's up their rear end. You know what I mean? That's also very enjoyable. And then not everybody's a dumb idiot who wants to fight. Some people want to participate and support and get involved, and then it's a lot of creativity and communication, and it's deep. I mean, this shit hits deep for some people at some times. Even for me, sometimes it's, I'm wondering what's going on here. Not in the social context, but here as in the happening of this. Definitely, Lazul, exactly like that. Exactly like that. But that's not really where the juice is. And that's why I believe a lot more in children's empowerment and, women's empowerment and maybe neurodivergent, people with neurodivergence empowerment. And it's funny because we live in a certain kind of sociological sphere, and we call that the world. But if you're talking about like sexism or feminism or racism, there's not a true global relevance of that. Like people in Myanmar, sexism doesn't even apply there. It's not really a real thing. And if a person from Myanmar, a person from Asia were to go to the place of America, what I'm trying to say is that we're kind of in our own universe. And a lot of the socio-political beliefs that we hold on to are schizophrenic fantasies. And they tend to keep us much less revolutionary, contemplative, and creative than we otherwise could be. And especially engaged, because a lot of times this left-right social political paradigm actually keeps us from deep communication. we're talking about thoughts rather than talking about our resources that we have on the table. And we don't, having an identity is basically irrelevant unless we're living in a schizophrenic TV show. Unless this is the Truman Show, then having an identity is really important. But if we're talking about collaborating together, communicating with one another, like I have this identity of a spiritual teacher and a spiritual teacher, digital nomad, I'm a real retard. And that's what people don't understand, But that's also just an identity to pick up and carry around so that I can have money in my pocket, or so that I can have a relationship with other people that are also interested in this, in a way of practice. When I'm alone, when I'm with the community here, that's all that there is. This is all that there is. That's life. That's death as well. The rising and passing away of thoughts. So to really meditate well is to relax this overall belief and philosophy of your personal identity. Now, but you don't have to reject anything to do that, because it's not actually something that anybody's doing. And what's going on here in the astral realm is I'm doing the best that I can do to impact you, to affect you, to become a virus in your life, to traumatize you basically, but in a pro-trauma way. And maybe I'm doing that just to get back at all the trauma that I've experienced in my life. Men are dangerous, and gay men are also dangerous. One plus one doesn't equal zero. So some men are more dangerous, some men are less dangerous. Some gay men are more dangerous, some gay men are less dangerous. But the whole idea of pride about what we're sexually attracted to is, you know, just keep it in your pants. We're not going to have a drag show at my monastery unless that person is very enlightened, very wise and compassionate. Just because they can put on an act and look like, you know, put on a fancy fucking costume and look like a woman, or, you know, have fake tits or something like that, that doesn't mean anything. I need to see, is that person have compassion and wisdom and kindness and insight? You don't use children for a little publicity stunt. Children don't need to learn what it looks like for somebody to dress up and pump mescaline into their breasts and put on makeup. Children get enough of that. Children need to learn how to be generous and kind and patient and forgiving. That doesn't justify any anger towards trans people or anybody. And it's not to say that that person who might have done that book reading wasn't wise and compassionate and kind. It's just that just because someone is trans and knows how to put on makeup doesn't mean that they're a compassionate, trustworthy person or a wise person. Just because somebody's a monk doesn't mean that they're a wise person or a good person, etc. And when you explain it like this, you can cut off the anger and stupid negativity that people have towards trans people in general. It's nothing to do about how you appear. It's what's inside of you, deeply, deeply inside of you. Not even your dreams, it's deeper than your dreams. It's when you're wakeful and going deep into your mind. And your lack of capacity to be wakeful and go deep into your mind is your lack of wisdom. And all of that really is just to, I'm just balancing the scales with that, because really a trans person or a drag show, not the same things, but anybody who's willing to put on a little bit of makeup and a little bit of pizzazz and step out the door, that's going to be a nice opportunity for intimacy and connection, you know what I mean? Because they're a little bit vulnerable. They're a little bit available. They're putting themselves out there a little bit. So I like that. But just because someone does that doesn't mean that they are a wise and compassionate person. So this comes back to this addiction to war. We are looking for someone to hate. We're looking for someone to fight with. And what the world shows us is that it doesn't matter how big and strong you are physically, you're going to get got. And then it comes up to intelligence, but intelligence can be self-destructive. The nuclear bomb is self-destructive. It's not useful because we destroy ourselves when we use it. This is where wisdom comes in. What knows that if you kill the other, you will kill yourself when it comes to potency? Wisdom knows that. The universal mind knows that. You know, we get such, we tend to get, you know, we do have a great congregation here, but we would get a lot more if I was talking like a fucking schizophrenic lunatic. About star seeds and psychic powers and the Michelangelo, etc. So what does that say about our humanity, you know? And what is that part of ourselves? What is that part of ourselves that would rather watch Hero X Hunter or Hunter X Hunter again fresh rather than volunteer to help people? You see what I'm saying? Maybe not everybody gets that reference. Bashar's just a fucking nightmare idiot. Tell him to bring back his little Scottish accent. No, you know what they say. This is what the Zen people say, right? The real Kung Fu, the real mind Kung Fu. The student wrote down, if I would have known what I know now when I was in front of my great master, I would have ripped him down from his seat and beaten him to a pulp. Do not try to explain it. Do not try to explain it. Luke, you're suffering from something I call complex dummy syndrome. This is a syndrome that's well known in spiritual circles. All right? Let's make this clear. You're a pleasure addict. You're a pain avoider addict. Point blank, period, and simple. I wonder how many times I've looked on the meditation subreddit and someone saying, I'm amazing. I'm going into deep states of meditation all the time. I'm really curious. What do you think about all this? Listen closely. If you can go into deep states of wonderful, pleasant, fantastic meditation, go. Why would you be here talking about nonsense with people if you could go into very deep, profound states of meditation? Are you some kind of saint? Go and disappear. What do you mean? Aha, it's not pleasant. It's not, that means it's not deep. Okay? In your case. Yes, that's why you have the syndrome that I'm talking to you about. But look at how you're presenting it. I just disappear. You have to stop trying to meditate, Luke. You have to stop trying. Leave comments in this live chat. You sit there and you sit in your meditation position and you focus on your teacher, on Dr. Rob. This is Dr. Rob's kingdom, isn't it? So if you're in his kingdom, you want to focus on him. And then you're sitting there and focusing, then you can call me on the WhatsApp number. Oh, hey Cindy.
Hi, Bonde.
I just wanted to call you and wish you a happy birthday.
Oh, thank you. You want to say hi to Seattle?
Oh, namaste, Seattle.
Wait, do you see him?
Yes, I see Seattle.
And we're going to meet him here.
Okay, I pray to Seattle.
Let me
Okay.
show Seattle.
Okay,
Hello.
namaste, namaste.
Hi.
Okay, oh, hello Seattle.
Oh, okay, that's good.
Okay.
45 đô một vé. Và có giờ không chị? Mình muốn đi ngày nào mình cho họ biết.
Okay, thank you.
Bye, Bonde. I'll talk to
Bye,
you later.
happy birthday.
Thank you.
Because this is the mystery world, and we want to make this a mystery world of blessings. Yes or no? Let's have a cheers for the death of Christ. Let's get some W's in the chat for the death of Christ. Luke, I want W's in the chat for the death of Jesus Christ. Luke, you have to walk back from your ego, man. You have to walk back from your ego. You're recognizing the problematic nature of your meditation. So stop trying to meditate and start trying to listen. You cannot share even a single fart with someone else. Is that understood? Enough. If you don't understand the irony, then you shut up. Okay, Matt. Jehan. W means a win. W means a good thing, right? How could Jesus' death not be a good thing if it's an essential part of Jesus rising from the dead? How could it not be a good thing? How could it not be a win if Jesus not dying would mean he didn't die for our sins? W's in the chat for the death of Christ. Or not. It's not very important right now to put W's in the chat. Just stay close. Stay close to my bosom, Luke, and you will be fine. Okay? My milk will reward you and protect you. All right? Replace your thinking with breathing. We come here to feel terrible, okay? If you feel good, then you owe me money. Some people owe me a lot of money, but they don't have a lot of money, so I forgive their debt. Some people are hiding in the cracks. They know they owe me, but they're not paying up. So it's confusing, but this is what it's like to build a new community with a new perspective and a new way of being, okay? Your debt is forgiven if your bank account's low. If your bank account's not low, then watch out, because I'm a-coming. And if you're tasting Nibbana, then you don't owe nobody nothing. Unless you do. In a sense, you could say if you're tasting Nibbana, you owe me everything that you have. You owe me your whole life. And one of these days I'll get my own taste of Nibbana. One of these days the whole sky is going to open and I will be free. I will be totally free. It's just, there's a funniness about like saying that you need to do something. And that tends to be, somehow that funniness tends to make people more open to actually doing that thing. Not to get into particulars, but I've had experiences of that where my mind and my body and my heart actually don't need to do anything, for sure. Just need to take a rest. But some people might think that I need to do something, that I'm supposed to be doing something, or that I'm supposed to arrive somewhere at a particular time. And just to forgive that, to give the forgiveness of that involvement and that belief, that ideation. It's not limitless. It's not limitless. Everybody's looking to die on the cross about something instead of to stop and to listen and to give. You have to kill feeling good. Unless you are willing to kill feeling good, you're not going to be able to kill feeling bad. So I'm going to show you right now, okay? I feel good. I'm going to kill it. Let me show you how that's done. Follow it. Follow the energy inside of your body, inside. Follow that energy inside. Watch it closely. Where is it coming from? What's it about? What's the context? We are a family. Spiritual blood runs thicker than real blood. Okay? If you get a taste of what I can taste, then that'd be really weird. But that's how I operate, that's how I believe, that's how I understand. But your degree of bloodline connection, okay, is going to be up to you. Going back to the Buddha, going back to whoever, whatever you want to think about. I like thinking about the Buddha. I like that idea. Don't let anybody control your life. If the teaching here is on detachment, then you get no excuse for anything at all. Whatever that thing is, you take responsibility to detach from that. And if this body and this mind and this voice and this presence isn't more in your face than some random anonymous words and letters, then you need to readjust your stupidity level to a lower degree so that you can reorient towards a wider view of what's going on here. You can get out of this. You can change your stars, my dear friends, my dear community. And if I have anything to say about it, you will change your stars, if you haven't already. Astrology is so dumb not because middle-aged women who believe in astrology are dumb, but rather because I control the stars. I am the Alpha and Omega. I am the creator and the destroyer of numerous and limitless worlds, galaxies, universe. I am the one. I am the I. I am the universal consciousness. I am the uncreate from which all phenomena appear and return to. I am the unbounded, the unbinded, and the undelineated truth that has come from nowhere and will go nowhere. I am Excelsior 3000, which, all things considered, is actually quite a small number. You will never know me because you is not a me. There will never be separation between us because there's no such thing as us to begin with. So this is not about you understanding me. Trees are not about understanding trees. It's a matter of collaboration, communication, cooperation, protection. Yes or no? I'm here to give what I have. If it's valuable or not, that's up to you. And this should support and inspire you to give what you have in all kinds of different ways. It's not just about me or you. There's not a me or you anyways to begin with. It's not about becoming some kind of spiritual freak. It's about the profundity of ordinariness and our opportunity to give and to share and to love and to listen and to forgive and to bring an end to suffering in whatever way it appears, wherever it appears. And as for that guy who communicates with aliens, Bashar, he's just getting back what he's given. He's been doing this for a long, long, long time. He was pretending to be an alien with a Scottish accent like 30 years ago and publishing VHS tapes. So you keep devoted, you keep working, eventually people are going to believe what you believe. So the problem is that okay. Donations can be made through PayPal, through YouTube Super Chat. We also have a Patreon if you want to make a monthly donation, a monthly commitment. Bank transfers, international bank transfers are very welcome. And if you'd like to offer something specifically, like for example, you may want to offer me a silver Cuban link chain or a gold Cuban link chain for me to wear on these live streams, and we can arrange for that to take place also, if you want to offer something specifically. So it's not just our willingness to give, that's fine enough, but it's also our capacity to give skillfully. That's not based on debate, it's not based on dialogue, it's not based on what the other person wants. You have a capacity to identify need. And then you work to meet that need without discussion, without debate, without interlocutors being involved. And once you do that skillfully, you detach. This is, I wish I was more intelligent. This is a play on the grace model from Roshi Joanne Halifax. I want to share this with y'all. GRACE. So this is about a kind of compassionate engagement in the world. Firstly, you have to gather your attention. If you don't know how to gather your attention to the here and now, you're always going to be a dummy. So your intelligence is very directly connected to your attention, and your attention is connected to your interest. That's why American schools don't help us so much, because they usually don't bring up much of an interest for us. We'll get to that, Ashton B. Let's focus on this first. So first we need to gather our attention. If we want to help, we want to serve, whatever. Compassionate engagement. Gather your attention, here and now. I'm here and now. I'm here and now. I'm here and now. Then you have to recall your intention. You have to remember your intention. What is your intention in engaging? Why are you here to begin with? If you can't gather your attention, then you're not here even though you're here. All of your intelligence is, kind of falling out your rear end with your intestines, okay? So you gather your attention to actually be where you are, to bring your intelligence to where you are. Secondly, recall your intention. Why the heck am I here? For what purpose? Then you're going to attune to self and other. So you attune to me, you attune to yourself, you attune to the other. You see what that other person's situation is as far as you can see. You see what your position is as far as you can see. Attune to the situation. Then consider what will serve. How can I help in this situation? Maybe somebody's asking for help, or maybe I just want to help, right? So consider what will serve from your side, not from some delineated view of what someone else wants. You have to use your own capacities to consider about what you can do to help. Consider what will serve, and then engage and end. Engage and detach. So that is the GRACE model. Gather attention, recall intention, attune to self and other, consider what will serve, engage and end. All right? What am I doing here? Well, it's not too difficult to say that I'm focusing on my breathing. Focusing on my breathing and aware of mind. You can try that too. And it's not, I need to close my eyes or I need to open them because I'm trying to meditate. No, it's just, sometimes it's nice to have the eyes closed. Sometimes it's nice to have them open. They're closed right now. And I am feeling and concentrating on and kind of with breathing. My breathing. And I'm watching the mind, or the mind is being watched, you could almost say, through this concentration on breathing, or this willingness to keep concentrating on my breathing. But that willingness to concentrate on the breathing actually becomes a kind of just natural being more deeply attuned and aware to what's happening, and not so caught up in stuff. Because really, in the scope of my whole life and other people's lives and everything that's going on, what's mainly going on is this body as it is right now and this mind as it is right now, and then me being with that and kind of embracing and accepting and sometimes dealing with that. So take a few moments, a few minutes to breathe and practice like that, dear friends. this work. This work and these teachings and this monk life meditation community is not about making money. It's also not about having exciting experiences with a lot of viewers and getting a lot of followers. This work is about you. This is your mind. This is my mind. This is the mind. And sometimes we leverage excitement and interest and activity. Sometimes we leverage non-interest, non-activity to be more directly in communion with the mind, the boundless, infinite spaciousness of non-attachment to things, whether they be mental things or physical things. I will now demonstrate my detachment, my power, my spiritual prowess by ingesting poison. This is your everyday average Colgate. I will now brush my teeth without water. Do not be afraid. If you can detach, then nothing can poison you. If you can detach, you do not need to be afraid of your own mind. My mother was always a hard brusher, and she taught me to brush hard, and that led to a reduction in my tooth enamel, which means that I have sensitive teeth. Now, it's always better to just let go. You love me? I love you too. Not as a person, not as an identity, not as a story, as someone who is wakeful, aware, and who dares to do good deeds with mindfulness and detachment. We will now open up the community space. Somehow we've been live for 2 hours. It's news to me. We will now open up the space for asking questions, and we will also open up the phone line for people to call in and to have a conversation and to share. And we will also open up the donation opportunities as well. If you are a regular donor and supporter, then the donation lines being opened up is a reminder for you to detach and to reflect upon the serenity of good deeds done and uninvolvement with doing anything at all. If you are attached to not making donations, then you should try to break through that attachment. This is not a discussion, this is not a debate, this is you on you on you on you. We have a friend who reached out, and I'd like to share our interaction through WhatsApp and then answer their question. I believe that they're here now because they asked me how much the silver Cuban link chain would cost. Yesterday, I sent a $33.33 donation, which is roughly $50 AUDs. I'm known as the person who has said, if you have a question, if you want to share your opinion, especially as a white man, it better be on the back of a $50 bill. My question is, how can I discontinue the cycle of efforting for money? I left work roughly 6 months ago because it no longer resonated with the transactional nature, I think because I no longer resonated with the transactional nature of money, and I'm currently cruising on my savings. I resonate with being authentic and receiving from generosity. I always feel like I'm on the cusp of entering that space, and intuitively, I feel like it will be accomplished through creating content myself as well. This is a trap that a lot of people fall into. Keen to hear your thoughts, thank you. Just noticed you ended stream, perhaps we can chat when we're online next. My response at that time, friend, No need to donate money to ask a question. There are many opportunities. We can talk about it later today or tomorrow after I rest. They said, appreciate it. I'm not donating just for the question, but the resonance, smiley face, and I shared a prayer emoji. And they said, I like to dabble with that line of resistance and intimidation that you mentioned in the past. It's an important practice not to get sucked into the fear for me. Have a nice rest. And then they just send me a message, how much is your silver Cuban link chain? And I said, it's expensive. It's about $1,000. So, for their question about what to do with my life, in terms of you alone and what you should do in your life, I think that's a very problematic and a stupid question. And that is what tends people to believe, that they should be an influencer, or they should create content, or they should be a teacher, or whatever ideas they come up with. I think it's a bad question. However, the question of how can I live through generosity rather than living through trying to make money or trying to support myself, that is a very good question. And it puts us into a need for, and points to the need that's out there for, community. As a donor, as someone who is willing and ready to give, to share, to offer, to help, to self-sacrifice, there are many, many opportunities around the world. Many needs around the world. But the greatest need is in the here and now, to give yourself what you want. And what we really want is what is already. So to realize the alreadiness, or to realize the opportunity that we have right now to give, this is taboo. Just FYI, this is taboo for the self. Points to the precious treasure of our namesake, or the precious treasure within our own heart. Accessing this precious treasure again and again and again and again allows us to be prepared, to be activated, to be called upon, to collaborate, communicate, to help each other in myriad ways. And also to get involved in spiritual community if that opportunity arises. And I would say that it's for sure that it will arise. More and more in this community in more ways, but the precious treasure is the essential point. And it is not, my dear friends, to the chagrin of Dr. Rob, it is not the precious treasure of a silver link Cuban chain. It is not the precious treasure of any kind of ornamentation onto the apparent body or the mind. It is the precious treasure of wakeful treasureness of what is already here and now. Some people may get the idea that they would like to stay with me. Sometimes I get that idea too, even though I know how much of a headache people are.
even the people that you like, even the people that you love, it's a big headache. And we may think that there's some kind of fantasy world of health and wealth, of money, that would make all of our dreams come true, such as floating up into the sky and being greeted by 21 virgins waiting to serve us. Or I don't know what that would be for women, 21 strapping young men, I don't know. If I was a woman, maybe 21 simple-minded, good-hearted Samoan men would probably be. Anyways, so what I'm really saying is that what you're really looking for and what you're really thinking about that you'd like to get is what is already available to you inside of your own heart. The key to the treasure box of your life, of yourself, is inside of your own heart. And in terms of being with me or practicing together with me, well, that's what we're doing. To the degree that you can bring your mind here, we are more together than we would otherwise be if we were physically in a room together. So let's stay with what works. Let's deepen that. Let's empower ourselves. And the real teaching here about where to go and what to do is the lack of need to go anywhere. That is the spiritual needlessness of present moment awareness that is free from a body and a mind and an identity. Really. And nothing comes to mind that's more accessible for me than this. So I'm going to stick with this for now. And I'm going to keep my heart open and I'm going to keep my mind open, and I'm not going to be striving or struggling to figure anything out. From that place, from that position, we can say no to alien cowboy farmer without needing to think about it. We can say no to our compulsive desire and our impulsive ideation that leads us into constantly struggling to figure something out. Which drains us of our capacity to give, to listen deeply, and to share deeply. We go back to the fable of Darren or Derek or Mr. Delusion. Who wants to start a meditation center, who wants me to be their teacher, who wants me to be their leader. But is not willing to sacrifice and to give much at all. It's very easy to make up this idea of detachment. It's very idea to make up this ideal of going to stay with your teacher or going to do what somebody wants you to do or to do what you think you want yourself to do. That's what we're already doing all the time. This is not about that. This is about stopping the mind of infatuation and ideation so as to access the treasure of what is already. And we don't need to channel an alien from Zeptune 9 to either sell skin cream or just to talk through this vessel to give you advice. This is not about you understanding who I am. This is not about you understanding anything. And that can be a very tough pill to swallow. We are vulnerable. We are sensitive. We are full of desire and full of fear as ordinary beings. So, we should exercise our capacity to not seek. White men who don't donate and self-sacrifice and put their body to the pavement of serious surrender, of doing good deeds, of making donations, of sacrificing their will, never have a position of authority or relevance in this community. I can guarantee you that. I've had it up to here with white men who don't donate. And Darren or Derek or Mr. Masonic 32-degree clown man was the final straw in that. Not to get too silly. We are oftentimes mistaking not seeking for weakness, or mistaking not seeking for inaction. But actually, this is just accessing the treasure store within. And this is much more valuable than any silver Cuban link chain. And that's not just reverse psychology. Hopefully it's a little bit of reverse psychology, but it's actually the truth. So we say, well, what do you want? I want you to find the treasure within your own heart through not seeking anymore. I want you to taste the tastelessness of Nibbana. Then our CDs, our 401ks, our saving accounts will bump up a lot in interest rates. And then we will be healthy and wealthy enough to do all kinds of different things and to be ready to go. Ready to do all kinds of interesting and wonderful things. But to know and to see and to experience that it's unnecessary to do anything allows us to meditate properly. The treasure store is the wonderfulness of your own beating heart that is more valuable than food or water or shelter. But we oftentimes need food, water, and shelter and clothing to realize that, to recognize that. And then, if we really open up that treasure store, we will never need food, water, or shelter ever again. We won't even need a body or a mind. There will be no need for anything. And then when the comet from Zeptune 9 flies by, we will be ready to drink the Kool-Aid of mindfulness and detachment and leave our bodies and hop onto that comet and go off back to Zeptune 9 and dance with the virgins and Samoan men of our greatest wonderful dreams. All right, thank you for your question, Aditya. In Australia, and I think that we will probably go to Australia. We also want to give a big thanks to our friend, friend of the show, friend of the community, Emma. Thank you, Emma. Okay. We also want to give a big shout out to Han Wen. I don't know if Han Wen is here, but I'd like to share their message that they sent me. Hello, Dr. Rob. My name is Han Wen, and I'm 16 years old, so I won't be able to make a donation concerned with money yet. So we'll keep our fingers crossed that Han Wen is a high IQ and a high test score individual that is in the next few years going to become a millionaire. And we're all going to keep our fingers, we're all rooting for you, Wong Hen. So Hong Wen said, you have recently made a YouTube short prompting me to question where the self is. From Buddhism and reflecting on your live streams, the you in the self is a changing process and identifying with a particular experience that leads to unsatisfactoriness, or I would say a clear experience of unsatisfactoriness eventually. Is this the correct takeaway, or am I too whack? Thanks in advance, and I am grateful for your virtual meditation retreats. He does have a high IQ score. So yes, that is a good takeaway. That is a workable takeaway. And that is good. That is great. That is nice. Also give a shout out to our old friend Gloria. May you bask in the glory of Jesus Christ's name, Gloria, and may you ascend to heaven in not too long. For our dear friend Chanath, that was a middle-aged Sri Lankan woman that turned into a Sri Lankan boy in Toronto, just go. So I gave you the addresses of some temples. Call those temples or just show up to them and explore. This is kind of going on pilgrimage. So these are pilgrimage sites for you to do your homework. Don't be like she was kind of ugly. If you get homework, go and do it. All right? And the least that you could do, Master Yonghua, or the least that you could do, she was kind of ugly, is to listen to some of Master Yonghua's Dharma talks online. But your capacity to really do your homework or to do the practice that was assigned to you by your so-called teacher will not be able to be done over the next 4 weeks or so because he's going to South Korea. So he's not going to be in the LA or San Francisco area over the next few weeks. Looks like we have a call from Ryan as well from an hour ago, so we'll see if Ryan picks up. And there really is no excuse for our frustration and for our anger. We just don't know how to let go of it, and we recognize that. And we work with that, with kindness, with compassion, with patience. You know, I can't say I don't get angry. Okay. Thank you, Aditya. And if it comes down to Aditya, there are certainly some places that you can go and practice. There's many opportunities. Just try to practice a little bit with this, and then when you're fed up with me, you come to me and you say, look, don't say this, but you can have this mentality. Look, I listen to your stuff. Enough is enough. You've been all over the world. You've been to meditation centers all over the world. Do you know a place that I can go to or not? And then I'll pay you back, okay? I'll tell you some places you can go. Don't worry about it. As long as you have a few bucks in your pocket and you've got your passport, then there's many places that you can escape to. But that need to escape means that you are in a discombobulated and disassociated position that you may not otherwise need to be in if you would just shut up and listen to what's being shared here, the person you're supposedly asking advice from to begin with. So try to practice with what you already have access to, and then from that you can build on to other directions you can go. And eventually, sure, I would like to start a meditation center or have a hub for spirituality where members of the community can come and stay for a week or 2 weeks or whatever and come and practice and all that. But in a real sense, we already have that here. So let's make use of this before we start idealizing about something else. Okay? Let's make a little bit of music. You have arrived here. You have arrived here having never been anywhere else before. Just like a dream that you find yourself in, waking up from appearances is your nature. As much as you are willing to not be someone, you will not only be everyone, you will be free from yourself instantaneously. This is not a path for random people. These are the lies that have been told by sages since time immemorial. Do not doubt them, for they share from a place that has never been experienced. If you dare to be no one, experiencing nothing, then meditation itself will disappear. And the great expanse of reality as it is will lull you into wakefulness moment by moment and breath after breath. These teachings do not belong to me in the same way that this voice and this body does not belong to me. No belonging is giving, is ending. That is the blessing. That is the teaching. Forgiveness. 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 Okay. Mongolian throat singers harmonizing with Korean nuns chanting Buddhist hymns, Native American screamers playing drums and rattling turtle shells, singing bowls, mountain harmonics, jazzy interludes. All become one, one become all. So we'll try it raw, and then we can see what else we can do with it. Yeah, it is. So the letting go completely is scary, is why this is not a good money-making endeavor. Because you don't want to die, and this is the death of you. It's actually even scarier than that. It's this realization or this recognizing that you never existed to begin with. So you lose all the dreams and you lose the impossibility to wake up from the nightmare. All right. Let's get some big W's in the chat. Who's ready for the new release, the new Monk Life Meditation Records release? All right. Let's see.
Just like a dream that you find yourself in, waking up from appearances is your nature. As much as you are willing to not be someone, you will not only be everyone, you will be free from yourself instantaneously. This is not a path for random people. These are the lies that have been told by sages since time immemorial.
All right. Gonna have to remaster to get more clarity from the vocals, but we get the point.
You have arrived here, having never been anywhere else before. Just like a dream that you find yourself in, waking up from appearances is your nature. As much as you are willing to not be someone, you will not only be everyone, you will be free from yourself instantaneously.
That's a good one. That's the better version.
This is not a path for random people. These are the lies that have been told by sages.
Check in if anything. Oop. Right, you have arrived. This is not a place for you to get something. This is not a place that you would want to be. Just like a meditation retreat is not a place that you would like to be or you would want to be. It's antithetical to you. So all of the presentation, all of the therapeutic sounds and things like that are irrelevant. Feeling good is irrelevant. Feeling bad is irrelevant. Your willingness to feel neutral is probably more important than whether you feel good or you feel bad here. This is a place to give, not a place to get. That's why people don't like to be here, generally. That's why they'll come by and they'll leave a like, but the last thing they want to do is stick around. That's what's going to set the people who raise up their level of consciousness and get these, we've heard the testimony from Kira, these DMT releases, versus the people who are just leaving a like and then going back to their video games, which is okay. I mean, it's all right if that's what you want to do. Let's try it. Let's see what this one sounds like.
Anywhere else before. Just like a dream that you find yourself in, waking up from appearances is your nature. As much as you are willing to not be someone, you will not only be everyone, you will be free from yourself instantaneously. This is not a path for random people. These are the lies that have been told by sages since time immemorial. Do not doubt them, for they share from a place that has never been experienced.
Not for you. Your want and intention aren't irrelevant to you, but they're irrelevant to the way. So what that means is that for you, if you want to experience a DMT release, if you want to gain insight, if you want to gain wisdom, if you want to experience an opening or a glimpse of the way that it is, it's more relevant for you to stay here or stay there, if there is concerned with this as well, rather than, this kind of disassociated, discombobulated way of, I better get back on TikTok. I better get back on YouTube. I better go back to the video games. This doesn't work. I tried. Where's Adam Sandler? Where's the new TikTok guy? And that is when these big, impactful, deep, meaningful experiences or openings happen. And if you don't have patience, you don't have the capacity to experience awakening. So I try to get around that, but you really can't. You can't force blessings onto people. It's just that my attempt to force blessings onto people maybe comes from a resonant place, and that means that it kind of potentiates itself in the algorithm, and then you may have people who do have blessings happen to be here at that time and happen to connect and happen to make use of it. Even people who cannot detach from their thoughts may have blessings from past lives that make them feel an affinity towards this that allows them to be more aware or be more involved in that which is about enlightenment. You know what I mean? You say, well, Dr. Rob, I've seen some of your old stuff. I appreciate what you've been through, but is this, can you really say that this is concerned with or this is about enlightenment? And I put it back to you. I say, well, what experiences do you have to back up your position of knowing about this? To compare and contrast, fairly with the experiences that I've had. And oftentimes those people don't have basically any experiences, so they don't have any kind of position from which to speak from. So they better go get to work, and then they can come and wag their little wing wong in my face and say, look at me. I have a position to disagree with you from. So that's fantastic. Let's remaster that one. Let's get that one remastered. That's a really good one.
You have arrived here, having never been anywhere else before. Just like a dream that you find yourself in. Waking up from appearances is your nature. As much as you are willing to not be someone, you will not only be everyone, you will be free from yourself instantaneously. This is not a path for random people. These are the lies that have been told by sages since time immemorial. Do not doubt them. For they share from a plane that has never been experienced.
That one's not necessary, the other one's better. So I want to share a little bit about my organizational style. And I'm going to do that by pointing back to Rob before he got his doctorate in Buddhism and meditation. His binder, his school binder. So it's a very simple and practical organization style. The new one goes on top, and that's it. So, if the new one goes on top and that's it, then all of the files should be there. and they should be stacked in accordance with relevance, practical relevance. And if you need an older file, you just have to look through. Now, does that work? It sure doesn't seem to work, but it should work, and that's enough. That's enough for today. Okay? Or for now. Blessings, love, and light, dear friends. Thank you all very much for being here with me. If you're in Australia, I hope that I'll see you soon. Enjoy the billabongs for me and say hello to the kangaroos for me. And for everybody in America, good night, good luck. See you again soon. Thank you.